Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabby if you don't already know me, and I love to talk all things personal finance, organization, and lifestyle. And today's video is a very exciting 2025 financial reset. So today's video is going to be a typical monthly reset video. I'm going to call it the 2025 financial reset because, you know, we're closing out 2024. We're setting up our budget for 2025, which I'm super excited about. This is the first time I will be using my new 2025 budget tracker that I sell on Etsy, using it myself, going through, setting it up for the new year. I'm excited to show you guys how we finished 2024. I did hit some of my financial goals that I wanted to at the end of the year, so we'll talk about that. And then of course I will be showcasing the new budget tracker. A little background on me, just because I know some context is usually helpful if you're not familiar with me already. I am 30 years old. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I currently split a 1-bedroom apartment with my partner. I don't have any debt. I don't have any student debt, any debt at all. I have a credit card that I pay the full balance of every single month, and my predominant financial goals right now are saving and investing for my future. I have been investing very hard. That's my primary financial goal, and so I hit some big milestones in 2024, and we're going to set ourselves up to have a successful 2025 as well. I budget monthly. I have been an avid budgeter for many years. I used to make a lot more simplified versions of these budget trackers, and then I purchased one on Etsy similar to this, like a very thorough budget tracker. And after using it, I love that budget tracker, but after using it, I had a lot of things I was hoping to get more out of with the budget tracker. I wanted a couple more features. I was hoping to have things like my balances in my accounts in the budget trackers. That's why I ventured into making my own, and I had a 2024 one, which is a green version, and then I've just put out this new 2025 version as well. I also want to say thank you guys so much for your support on the 2025 one. I'm baffled, I'm shook. I cannot believe the number of people who have purchased even just the 2024 one or the 2025 one in this last couple of weeks. It's been a whirlwind, and I've definitely taken a little bit of time off just so I can fully support all the questions, all the things that have been happening with the budget trackers. I haven't been filming videos in the last little bit just because I've been focusing on just making sure that everyone is happy and getting what they want with this budget tracker. But I will be doing a full how to use the 2025 version. I know I'm getting a lot of questions from people who are just a little confused on how to use these, and there definitely is a learning curve. I will say that. Even when I purchased the first one I had, there was a learning curve. If you're not familiar with how Excel or Google Sheets formulas work, it can be very easy to like muck something up by accident. So I am going to do my best to like fully walk you guys through how to avoid those issues. In that video, I'll sort of dive into like how to use it, how to function, how to use the budget tracker properly. So that is coming, do not worry. But yeah, today I'm going to show you guys how I'm setting up my own personal budget tracker for 2025. Okay, I think we can get started. Let's go into 2024. So I will be showing my 2025 budget tracker, which I loaded in all of my 2024 information into. So I did use the 2024 green version for all of that year, but I did load stuff into this one. And I think it's just gonna be a little bit more seamless if I show the same budget tracker twice. So we will put this on the screen for you guys. So if you are like a Mac user or you have like a smaller computer, I have I think this is a 13-inch MacBook computer. I do recommend using the scaling percentages over here just so everything is visible on your sheet. So when you're at the 100%, this budget tracker is a little bit bigger than the last one, so you're not gonna be able to see everything in screen. This depends on your computer. Like on my desktop, it's perfect on my desktop, but on my small laptop screen, I do like to view it with the 75% turned on. Let's dive into December. So I did have some financial goals for December. I was hoping to have a lower spend month. If you saw my November budget, you know why. I spent a ton of money on Christmas gifts and then also just personal spending during Black Friday. So I really wanted to drop down the spending, and I was also hoping to spend less than $17.50 on my expenses, not my bills, but my expenses. This is technically like a low spend for me. I had a goal to spend less than that for 3 months of the year this year. And for the most part, I sort of did it. I sort of didn't. I had some months where like a random expense would come up or something from my sinking fund. Like if I got my Botox, for example, I would just call it like good because I have a sinking fund for that. But for December, we actually did it, you guys. I spent $16.51 in December, all in, all expenses accounted for. So I'm very, very proud of that. That's definitely the lowest spend month of the entire year. And it's a busy month. So I'm kind of impressed that I was even able to do that. So that's great. Let's look at some of the general numbers. So income was $12,186. Wow, big number. Expenses and bills were $37.41. So this is everything put together, my bills and my expenses for the month, which is super low, below $4,000. $3,000 is unheard of for me. My savings, I saved $27.81. My investments, I invested $3,200. My credit, I put $5,200 onto my credit cards. So this is from the big spending in November. Although I had a very high income for December and I had a low spending month, it doesn't really matter for December because I'm paying off my credit cards from November. So I still had an issue where I was a negative budget for the month. If you can see over here, that was quite negative, and I didn't even roll over the balance. So it was a month where I'm like, I know that what I'm currently doing is good, but I'm dealing with what happened in November right now. Up here we have our balances accounts. So this is what I was trying to add in this budget tracker. In the previous one, we had it for cash and credit, but this one I wanted to make sure you had a savings account balance so you could see exactly where all of your sinking funds are at. I have about $3,000 in my checking account at the end of the month after rent is paid and everything like that. So that is great. And then you can see my savings accounts are all here, and then my credit balances are also over here. So yeah, let's dive into the budget overview over here. So this is like your totals for everything. You can see here my income is about $12,000. My debit expenses were at $70. My credit expenses were at $1,581. My bills were at about $2,000, which is quite a bit higher than normal. I will talk about that in a little bit. My savings were at $27.81, as I mentioned, investments at $3,200, and then credit card pay at $5,200. So that is a total of negative $1,200. And so I don't usually freak out when I see a negative budget overview like this, and that's because I predominantly use credit cards. So with the way that credit card cycles work, sometimes a negative balance here just means that I'm paying my credit cards off a little bit later than I like to, because I like to pay them off usually about 2 weeks early, minimum a week early. This might mean that I have to wait for the pay that happens right before my credit cards are due. And so I just paid off my cards. I'm fine. I don't have to pull anything from savings or sinking funds or anything like that. So even though this is negative, it just kind of means I have to wait for that pay that I usually don't have to wait for to pay my credit cards. I hope that makes sense. So let's go down to the tables here. So savings income. So this is a new table I added to this budget tracker. And this is so that you can track the income that's coming from your savings accounts. This was not included in the 2024 version. And I think this is a great way of splitting off your sinking fund income, because you don't really want to think of that as proper income, because it's like you're paying yourself from your own accounts. So it does help the budget overall balance out up here, but you're not actually tracking savings income as proper income, because I know that those are two completely different things. I had my normal pay for my 2 paychecks of the month. This is a little bit inflated from normal. My normal numbers starting in January will go back down to 25 something, 26 something. But after I max out my pension, I don't have to contribute as much to my pension. So then I get a little bit more pay at the end of the year. This happens every year for me. So that is why those are a little bit higher. I sold an item on Facebook Marketplace, so I made $50 from that. I got $200. I think this was for an Interac e-transfer from somebody. I can't remember exactly what this was for, but I got $200. I am still expecting a little bit more because I pay my family's mobile plan. So that should actually come in soon here. I'll probably just log that in the January budget, but I haven't been paid for that quite yet. Etsy, I made $2,400 from Etsy in December. We're approaching my paycheck. That is so nutty, so crazy to me. So thank you guys so much for your support. A lot of this came from the Black Friday sale I was having. It kind of rolled over into December where I was getting lots of pay. And of course, December is a popular month where people are looking for new budget trackers for the year. And I will say that even what I've been paid out in the January section, you'll see in January, but I've made an insane amount of money, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for your support. I hope you love it. I know that there's been a couple of kinks if you guys purchased it. I think I've messaged quite a few of you. There was a couple of little bugs going on in the budget tracker, which I will also talk about when I get to the 2025 budget tracker. But I just thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. I'm going to help every single one of you as much as I possibly can to make sure this budget tracker is perfect for you. If you have any questions, please message me on Etsy. I'm happy to help right away. Okay, moving on. YouTube, I got paid $1,174. Gumroad, which is a Notion template I sell on Gumroad, I got $300 from this. And then I also got a work bonus at the end of the year. This is post-tax, so this is the amount I got from my work bonus. Okay, expenses, I'm over budget in a couple categories, but overall, oh my God, I just remembered I haven't donated yet. I feel like every video I'm always like, I haven't donated yet. I need to be better about this. I already know what I'm gonna be donating to. I'm donating to the BCSPCA. They were doing a promotion where they're matching up to $250,000. So I will donate. I'm actually gonna change this. Let's go 60. Okay, I can donate up to 60 and still be under budget. Actually, I might be able to do more. Okay, but I will be donating $60 to the BCS PCA today. I will, I swear to God. Okay, moving back up. Groceries, my budget was $350 and I actually only spent $315. So this is one of the lowest, might be the lowest grocery spend ever. And this is mainly because I went home for Christmas, so I had groceries available to me to use, lots of groceries. Transportation, I was right on the nose. I think I might have estimated this a little bit higher when I initially set my budget, but I do like to go in and regularly update my budget values because I will see things kind of change as the month goes on. Sometimes I'll spend a little bit more in a category, and then if I want to make sure I'm still hitting my overall budget numbers, I'll just drop another category down. So if you notice, they change a little bit between like when I set my budget and when I finish my budget, that's why. But we are under budget there. Eating out, I wanted to eat out. I thought I was gonna be eating out a lot more than I did, and I set a budget of $250 and I only spent $131, so that is great. Coffee, I thought I was gonna spend only $25 and ended up spending $68. At the end of the month, because I knew I was under budget, I just kind of was like, oh, whatever, I can spend more on coffee. So I was reloading my Starbucks quite a bit at the end of the month. So that is why I'm over there. Drinking and cannabis, I was also under, so this is great. That is always nice to see. Clothes, I didn't buy anything. My goal for the month was not to spend any money on clothes or beauty. And I did actually do this. And beauty was excluding my Botox appointment. So it was like a little exclusion, but I didn't want to buy any products, no beauty products, no clothing products, because I bought so much during Black Friday. And I actually did do this. The only issue was that something I purchased had customs. The pajama set I purchased from Lounge in November, which still has not gotten to me. I'm still waiting for it, but it ended up like once the Canada Post strike released, they let me know that it was like lost in the Canada Post stuff and that I owed $47 on it. I'm pretty sure I only paid $80 for this pajama set. So I'm never ordering from Lounge again. Sorry, Lounge. No actual new items, just customs. Beauty, I just purchased my Botox. It was a little bit more than I normally do. So it was a little bit more expensive than I typically budget for, but that's fine. It was like a difference of like 30 bucks, so whatever. Fun, I budgeted 50, I spent 51s. The cats, I think that my budget was a lot lower for this, but we ended up actually deciding to get Oscar neutered this month. And technically his neutering was supposed to be free. When we got him, that was the deal. The vet's office that we purchased him from was like, we're gonna cover neutering for you guys. But when we actually showed up to pay for it, they were like, oh, but all of these especially important blood work that we need to do at the beginning of the procedure is not included. The actual neutering was apparently $125, but we had to pay for all of the other stuff like meds and stuff like that. So I think we still paid like $350. I was like, free? Okay, sure. Not that chill, but yeah, that's what this is. Me and my partner split it. So it was like their food for the month and all of their other needs. And then on top of that, it was Oscar's neutering at the vet. We officially have 2 neutered cats. Yay. Health, I budgeted about $100. I think I have supplements that are around $100 that I buy every month. So that went through, and then I think I got like something very small otherwise. So that's a little bit over budget. Gifts, I only wanted to spend about $100. I spent $150. Totally good with that. I feel like there was like a lot of random things I kind of forgot about, and that's what I expect every year. There's always something I forget, always some gift I forget to buy. So travel, $18. I don't know what this is for. I think that, oh yes, this was for getting my bag, my extra bag home. I had so many gifts, especially from my mom. She's a gift giver. I will say that. She loves to give a gift. So I had a lot of gifts that were really large, really heavy that I had to get home. So we actually checked another bag, and this is half of that bag. It was like $36 or something like that. So that's that. And then donations, as I mentioned, I will donate today the $60. And I will still be under budget, which is great. So that totals me up at $16.51. With the $60, we're gonna be around $17.10, still under the goal. So I am very, very happy with that. Bills were a little bit different than normal. I had one of the phones on my family phone plan had some roaming, so this bill was more expensive. That will be covered by my family member who transfers me it. So that's why that is higher. Internet was right around where I expected it. I had to pay for my annual Canva subscription. So that was $150. I think I paid $167 last year. So I don't know why it went down, but that's great. I paid for my REN, which is a typical bill I have. This is for a climate offsetting program where you pay to offset a portion of your carbon footprint by investing in carbon initiatives, carbon removal initiatives, I guess you should say, or climate initiatives, things like that. Then I have my typical checking fee. And then we have a bunch of bills that are annual bills that I don't normally pay for. So I purchased CapCut Pro for the year. CapCut has been removing a lot of the free features and making them pro features. So features I'm very used to using in my editing of videos, but I obviously want to improve the quality of my videos, continue making good quality videos. So I'm happy to pay this. It's a business expense, so that is fine. I paid for it for the whole year. Epidemic Pro, so I ended up going with Epidemic Sound for the full year for music. I was kind of bopping around different companies for music, but I think I like Epidemic Sound's whole platform best. I think they have a lot more options. I was feeling a little bit like there wasn't that many options on the other platforms, and they had a Black Friday deal as well. So the whole year was only $87. So that's great. I split the Amex charge on my credit card with my partner. We have a couple's credit card and the total is like 12 something. So that's that. And I did pay for Natural Cycles for the year. This is like a birth control app. I did actually move forward with removing my IUD in December. So this is my new birth control method, and the Black Friday deal was $75 for the year. And then I did actually add Teza as a new bill. I haven't paid for this in the past. This is a photo editing software, so this is also like a business expense. I was trying to get some nicer edits for thumbnails and things like that, and I thought it was a valuable expense for my business. So I did purchase that as well. Okay, moving on to savings. So I did actually end up splitting my Christmas bonus I got from my work between my savings and my investments. So I put most of it into my emergency fund, which I'm trying to top back up after I had some emergency flights I had to book in October getting back from Italy. So I put most of my Christmas bonus in there. 50% of the Christmas bonus went into my emergency fund. Then I had my regular deposits I do. So I love automatic savings and automatic investments. Every paycheck, a certain amount of my paycheck goes into my savings and goes into my investments. So these are the typical ones. What happens is I have like about $230 that gets deposited each paycheck into my Simple Cash account. So that is where I keep all of my sinking funds. And then I use my budget tracker to track how much is in each account. And that way I don't have to like fuss with like transferring between a bunch of accounts. So I just, every single paycheck decide exactly how much of that 230 goes where. So I decided on 100 total for my Orlando saving account, 100 total for my car sinking fund, 160 total for my beauty save because I just got my Botox done. So usually I like to top that back up when I'm using it. I didn't actually pull from my beauty fund, but we shall see once my credit card is due next month. This is like my travel account for 2024. You can't really change the names of these accounts once you've set them, because then the drop downs for the previous months will have like a little arrow symbol and they won't line up. So like my annual tracker tab would get all messed up if I changed these names. So I've just kept the name as Italy, but this is my new travel account and I'm saving for a wedding I'm going to next year. So that is a typical new savings that I have to do every single paycheck. And then I have my business taxes. I take 30% of every dollar I make from my business and put it into a business taxes account. So for the month of December, that was $1,174, which I think is actually, that was the full paycheck from YouTube. So I have just been putting my full YouTube AdSense paycheck straight into my business account. Investments, I did my regular deposits into the FHSA and TFSA. What I did for this year was split up whatever was left over after I did a little deposit at the beginning of the year between every single pay. So every single paycheck, I put the exact same amount into these two accounts. And then I know at the end of the year, this account is fully maxed out. So 300 into FHSA, 250 into TFSA, and then everything else I invest will go into my retirement account. I don't think I've actually maxed this account out yet, but I think I might be getting close. So I do have to keep an eye on that. So with the local deposits I put into my retirement account from each paycheck, and then on top of that, the Christmas bonus, I deposited $2,647 into that account. Moving on, we have our credit cards. So my Amex Gold account, I paid the balance off of $75. This is actually a new free card. It's not the gold anymore, it's the Amex green, but as I mentioned, I don't change the names. I also had a charge that went through on my RBCs. That was $100, about $620 onto my Neo. And then of course my TD Visa, which was most of my holiday shopping, Black Friday shopping. That's where all of those charges were sitting on an account. So that was about $4,500 I had to deposit there. Okay, so that is the month of December. Let's have a quick look at some of the data. So I hit my savings and investment goals. I saved about 55%, which is a great amount of savings. I spent about 28% on my needs, and I spent about 17.6% on my wants. So this is a very different chart than usual. My wants were very low and I had a lot more money to save this month. This is very inspiring. I think if I could spend more like this on a regular basis, I can't even imagine what kind of leaps and bounds I would make financially. So this was a nice reminder. I don't even feel like I didn't spend money. It's actually weird. I think I just didn't buy beauty and clothing, and I'm starting to realize how much of an impact not regularly shopping in those categories has on my budget. Also, like obviously groceries is a huge one, so having that low, and like I didn't gas up in the month of December, so that's a big one as well. But outside of that, I don't think I felt restricted really, and yeah, I'm hoping to kind of take this momentum into the new year. Okay, let's go over to the 2025 budget tracker. Okay, so when you get this new budget tracker, you will have to make a copy. I've had a couple messages of people saying they can't use this one, and that's because you are given access to the original. And that is so if I need to make edits on my end, they will be reflected in the link that you are provided. So if, for example, there's any updates in the future, if I change anything, make anything better, fix any bugs, things like that, it is always reflected live in this version. And all you need to do is make a copy of this version to have all of the new updates. It is a little bit tricky if you've already loaded all of your information in, but please send me a message if that is the case, and I can always help update things for you. So this is the instructions. Then you have your setup tab. So I have gone through and added in all of my financial categories. When you go through this financial categories table, you'll just want to add in all of your accounts for each, and then everything will auto-populate below. So for example, the categories in all of these tables below, those are taken from the financial categories table. They automatically add themselves. So for example, if I wanted to add a new savings and sinking fund right here, if I type something here, it usually will mess up. Yeah, you'll see it messed up the formula up here. And so I've had a couple people message me asking why that happens. And that is because you're not supposed to be editing the column here. You're supposed to be only editing this table. So you only edit this table for the financial categories. And then once those are all in, you start to add your actual values into the tables below. You obviously have your currency, the calendar year, your age, your name. Then you can start inputting your actual values. The important part for the cash, savings, and credit card accounts is that you're using the amount in those accounts, the starting balance in those accounts before you start editing or before you start adding any sort of expense in the expense tables. So if you're setting up this budget, just go look at your current balances in all those accounts, and then make sure once you start the expense table that you're not retroactively adding charges that happened before those balances, because then it will throw off all your balances. I hope that makes sense. Account fees, savings interest, these are all just for your reference. They're not used throughout the budget tracker, except for the debt setup. The annual interest is used in the net worth setup, but that is the only one that is used throughout. The rest of these are more so just for your general knowledge. If you want to flip back to here and just quickly have all your numbers in one place, that's why that is there. And then of course we have the monthly contributions. So these numbers in the monthly contributions categories, the columns, these are what auto-populate into every single month in the budget tracker. So for example, I want to save this exact amount every single month this year, every single paycheck. So that's what's going to auto-populate. If you like to change these around, you can feel free to either leave this empty and then manually add them in every single month, or you could add like the typical numbers and then change them when needed. Same with the expense budget. This is new. I thought that people would typically have different expenses every single month, but the more I thought about it, I was like, no, people usually have the same. So I added this new section here where you can add your typical monthly budget for your expenses, and then this auto populates throughout the budget tracker. Same with your income, the monthly budget value. This is the same number that will populate throughout. So your typical pay. I've had some questions on how to handle if you are paid. For example, some people say, oh, okay, well, I'm paid bi-weekly, and then they will just add their paycheck value that they're paid bi-weekly. I'm unable to properly use this throughout the budget tracker because if you're paid bi-weekly, some months are going to have 3 paychecks, and that totally depends on your pay cycle, and like I can't possibly know that. This frequency here is more so for your general knowledge and your like reminder. But if you are paid bi-weekly, the best thing that you should do is set up a paycheck 1, a paycheck 2, and then a paycheck 3 for those 3 paycheck months, and that way every single month you have a pay for each of those things, and on the 3rd paycheck month you still have a spot to put that money into. Debt setup is basically the exact same. I don't have any debt here, so I don't have any values. Every due date in this setup also works with just a number, so you would put the day of the month that things are due, like the 6th for example. So that's how you handle the dates. Investment setup, same sort of situation. You do your starting balances, you do your monthly contribution, and then you do your goal annual amount. Credit card setup, we have same stuff. You're gonna wanna make sure you reflect the correct balance, and then of course your statement date and then your due date. These are more so for the calendar. If you just care about the due date, then just put the due date in, but I like to note both the statement and the due date. And then the bills and subscriptions table. So this is a little bit tricky as well. I've had some questions on this. So you're gonna wanna put in your amount due so that it can auto-populate throughout about your budget tracker. The frequency here is more so, as I mentioned, for your knowledge, but what you can do, you'll notice that some of these months here, I have like the number is in every single month. So when I add a due date in here, so let's just say this is due on the 3rd, it's gonna automatically put it into every single month. If this is something that's like bi-monthly, for example, if it's every second month, I would just go through and delete it in the columns it does not apply to, because if, for example, February sees a number here, it will add that bill into February. But if it does not see a number here, like for March, it will not add it into your monthly budget. So for example, now if I go to my February budget, I should see the amount of $65 for mobile under February. So we'll go over to February, we'll see, oh yeah, $65 for mobile in February, but if I go to March, that $65 is not there. So that's how the bills work. If you have a bill that's annually, same thing, you just leave it in the month that it's due, and that is how this works. Okay, so I have set up everything for myself, all of my typical bills, and now we can move on to setting up a budget for January. Okay, so now that we are over in January, I do just want to touch on some bugs that people have found in the budget tracker. I have messaged everyone that purchased the budget tracker before the bug so that they know about it, but just in case people are not checking their Etsy and maybe they are a viewer and they see my videos, just a reminder, please go check your Etsy messages. I have messaged you about a potential issue. If you downloaded the budget tracker, I think on before the 27th, so from the 26th to the 25th, 26th, 27th, in that time range, there was a typical bug for everyone, where in the February month, the April month, the October month, November, and December, you were not able to properly pick a subcategory. There was like a bug in the data validation. So please message me if you've already loaded all of your information into your budget tracker and you don't want to restart. I can help you fix this issue. It's a pretty easy fix. I can either do it myself for you or I can give you the instructions on how to do it. If, for example, you have not loaded your information yet or you've added very minimal information yet, the easiest way to go about this is just making a new copy of the budget tracker and then all of the changes are reflected. I just want to say thank you for your patience on these little bugs. I do recognize I probably should have had some external person like review this for me, just because obviously I miss things. I'm in it every single day. It's very easy to miss stuff personally. So thank you very much for your patience while I work through these bugs. I will happily help you with any sort of issues you have. So please let me know if you have any issues. Okay, moving on into the January budget. I'm losing daylight. What time is it? It's 4. Okay. Moving on to the January budget. Income, I need to potentially update. Let's have a look over here. Okay, so income for January, I'm expecting a number for my paycheck that's a little bit lower than typical. As I mentioned, I have been paid an exceptional amount from Etsy already from this budget tracker. So I got $4,600 in my first transfer from Etsy from this time frame. Absolutely nutty, absolutely insane. Thank you guys once again. I said about 5,000 I'm expecting. I'm sure it'll be a little bit more with everything else that's going on, but that is the Etsy income. I already know I'm getting about $1,900 from YouTube AdSense, which is also crazy, so high. I'm almost at $2,000. That is baffling. And then Gumroad, I'm expecting about maybe $200 for my Notion template. I like to under budget versus over budget, and that way I can accurately allocate everything. Let's move on to expenses. I'm gonna have high hopes for low spending months coming up here. I find January to March very easy months for me to spend less than normal. I am trying to be a little bit more honest with myself with budgeting. If you saw my financial goals for the year, I'm trying to be a little bit more honest with myself. I don't want to under budget and then always be so over budget. So that is something I'm trying out. But I've gone through these numbers and I can't really figure out where I expect to spend more. Honestly, I'm also doing dry Jan, so I should take that out. I'm gonna add a little bit more to coffee because I do love me some coffee. Beauty, I have a bunch of things that became empty during December that I wasn't allowed to buy. So basically right away, I'm gonna go buy a bunch of stuff. Fun, about 50. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't go through the top one. So groceries, about 500 I'm expecting. That's like my new sort of normal I've noticed over the last few months. We do enjoy a grocery delivery service, Fresh Prep here in Canada. I love Fresh Prep. Fresh Prep, if you wanna work together, let me know. I do love them. So we are going back to getting like maybe 1 or 2 boxes a month. That does usually raise our groceries a little bit. So yeah, 500 seems like a comfortable, good number for me that I usually will try to aim for. Transportation, I have to gas up. There's always some other expenses that come up. So about 200. Eating out, about 100. Let's actually bump that up to 150. I feel like we can go a little bit higher because the overall budget is quite low. Coffee, about 100. Clothes, I do not need anything. I'm still reeling from Black Friday, from getting gifts in December. I do not need anything at all. Beauty, I have about $100 here, as I mentioned, for refilling, $50 for fun. The boys, which are the cats, I have about $150 $17.50 for them. This is kind of like our new normal, I think, for just like food and regular things if nothing random comes up. $50 for gifts. I don't expect to have any gifts, but who knows? I also know that there are, me, my brother, and my sister kind of split all of our Christmas gifts. So we do have to like rebalance everything out. I have no idea how much more they spent or less I spent. Like I might be getting money, I might have to give them money. So let's actually like maybe budget for that. Let's call it 200 here just in case. Maybe 300. Let's do that. Let's be safe. Okay, we're still at $17.50, so that's totally fine. Home, I don't expect anything. I am about to take down all of the Christmas decor. And before I put the Christmas decor up, I was like looking at the bookshelf and thinking I would really like to refresh this space a little bit. So I might spend a little bit on home this month, but I don't. Let's give ourselves 100 here just in case. Okay, 100 there. And then donations, I want to do a regular donation of at least $40 every single month in 2025. And then where I can, I want to donate a little bit more. Let's do 50 actually. And then we're at an even $1,800. I like that. Let's do that. Okay, my bills, my rent actually did go up. We are in a rent protected city, so even when our rent does go up, it doesn't go up by a lot. I am losing daylight like crazy. Let me turn on the lamp actually. Okay, I think that made the lighting a bit worse. Bills, my rent did go up, but we are rent protected in Vancouver, so my landlord raised it less than the full amount he was able to, so it only was about $25 each for us, so we love that. Internet, 60 as usual, 65, whatever. Rent, as I mentioned, typical. My checking fee, also typical. And then my Amex charge, also typical. So my monthly bills, after all of those annual bills are done, is about $1,200, which is so cheap. So grateful for that. It's amazing. Savings, okay, so we have a lot of savings to do because of course I made quite a bit from business income already. Also, one of my goals for 2024 is to save 5% of what I make from my business to reinvest in my business. Because it is like a digital product, it's not the same as other businesses where I have a lot of business expenses. So I haven't had to like redistribute income to like increasing the output of my business, for example, but who knows, I might. For example, if I make a new product, I might outsource somebody to do like a QA, QC process on it. I also might get a camera this year. I've been currently filming on my iPhone. So things like that. I just want to start saving in an account so that when things come up, I have that money set aside for those things. I obviously want to make my videos better for you guys as well. So that's a big goal of mine, but we have our typical amounts into all of our sinking funds. These are all pretty standard, as I mentioned beforehand. Holiday fund, this is for my Christmas fund. I actually haven't taken anything out of my 2024 Christmas sinking fund. So I might have a fully funded Christmas fund for next year because I didn't need it to pay off my credit cards. I save in these sinking funds, and then if I make enough money, I don't actually even need to take them out. So then that money is just like there again for the next year. And then I can actually start saving for new goals, which is very fun. But we shall see with like the credit card cycle if I do need to take money out of my Christmas fund. But yeah, we're doing about $50 into the holiday fund. Travel fund, this is the amount I need to go to a wedding. So that is an automatic one I have to do every single month this year. And then I have my business saved. So this is 5% of what I expect for my business income. And then 30% of my business income is also going into my business taxes. So the more you make, the more you have to save. I never thought I would have $2,000 that is going into a savings account for my business taxes, but I guess that is a great thing to see. So I'm not mad about it. Okay, so investments. I am going to change my investment strategy a little bit. I'm gonna be prioritizing my TFSA and my FHSA. Sorry, there are sounds. In the past, what I've normally done is taken money from my inheritance that is sitting in a non-reg account, and then I've dumped it into my TFSA and FHSA just to have like a lump sum transfer, and then the rest that I need to fill up the contribution room, I will contribute every single paycheck. But this year, I want to do all of the investing on my own. So I am going to do all of the TFSA, all of the FHSA at the very beginning of the year. And then once those are maxed out, I'm gonna switch over to my RRSP. So I should actually change this. This should be 1705 into my TFSA and then 2000 into my FHSA. So I'm gonna pause on the retirement deposits until I have maxed out my two accounts. If I can contribute $2,000 a month into my FHSA, then I only need about 4 months to max that out. So this should happen probably in the first 6 months of the year that I should be able to max these two out. And then yeah, from there, who knows what'll happen. Moving on to credit cards. I still have big credit cards from the pay cycle, the Black Friday shopping, I'm not even gonna lie. I also owe a little bit on our couple's credit card as well. So these are a little bit high still, but overall a lot less than last month. And that gets me a total of about $288 that should be remaining after all of my stuff is due. So we should be back in good graces where we don't have a negative value, and I should be able to meet all of my deadlines with plenty of time for my credit cards and all of that. So that is the budget for 2025. Yay! Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you once again for your support on the 2025 budget tracker. I will leave it in the description box down below. There is a discount running for January up until January 12th. You can get 60% off, and then my typical 50% off for my YouTube viewers will go back into place. So if you want an additional 10% off, get it before January 12th. And thank you once again for your support. It is beyond me how much support I've received in these last couple of weeks, and I'm very grateful. If you like the budget tracker, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.